Coming to you from Hilbert College, it's the new podcast, Runnin' Wild. My name is Gabriel, and I'm with my partner, Spencer.
Running wild.
Thank you to the DMAC department for getting us set up.
Thank you for letting me in here.
Yeah, you should consider yourself lucky. The main conversation of our podcast will be sports.
Cheer.
Our podcast, we talk about wild things. We are running wild.
Running wild.
Let's get started with week 2 of the NFL. It was definitely full of surprises. A lot of, at least to me, for one, Vikings, Packers, Rams, Seahawks. I was really surprised that the Vikings and the Rams got the win now. What do you think?
Oh, definitely the Rams game is what shocked me the most there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe the Rams beat the Seahawks, but not just that. The score 9-3, Gabe. Do you think
9-3?
They have excellent defense out there, but
Yeah, I thought it was a baseball game when I first read that scoreline.
right. You think NFL offenses, Russell Wilson out there can't get more than 3 points on the Rams? That's what surprised me. Excellent D-line, though, in the Rams. Don't get me wrong. Probably the best D-line in the league.
One of the best, yes. And the other thing, Aaron Rodgers only getting 14 points against the Vikings. That was a surprise to me, too.
Yeah, he seemed a little rattled out there, honestly. Looked like he had time, and he just turned his back to the offense. Or just randomly. I mean, you got some weapons. I mean, you're Aaron Rodgers, for God's sake. What are you doing?
Well, let's not take anything away from the Vikings. They have a very good roster, too, on the defensive line. Not as good as the Rams, but they showed up to play, too. I think another part of what had to do with it was the crowd. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, so both teams play in the new stadiums. First NFL game in LA's, I don't know how long, but years. 70s, is it?
Forever.
So
about
correct
the
us if
70s,
we're wrong, leave a comment. But when what's the other game? The Packers at Minnesota. Minnesota's brand new stadium. First game there. When you have a new stadium, new field, new arena, new court, anything new, just it brings more excitement. More fans are there. They're pumped. I think home field advantage is very underrated.
Especially with the new stadium, it was a different feel, different atmosphere for the fans, and I think it helped energize the teams.
Yeah, it's just like at Hilbert College, during the soccer games, we have the new Corner Creatures, they call it. Follow them on Twitter, at Corner Creatures, spelled just like that. You want to talk about that? How does that affect your game when you're out on the field?
It definitely has an impact. You can tell, especially with the away team. Some of the goal kicks, you can tell they've been shanked when the Corner Creatures, when they start heckling them a bit, and it just helps the atmosphere. It's fun.
And for you guys that probably are a little confused by the Corner Creatures, they're just a mixture of lacrosse players, baseball players, and anyone else randomly in the crowd that's standing in the corner of the soccer field. And they're just yelling and cheering and going crazy.
Yep.
It's very fun atmosphere.
All right, on to the next topic. Bills fire offensive coordinator Greg Roman.
See, we have a little bit of a debate here in studio.
I think it was a big not a big mistake. I don't think this was the right move for the Bills.
See, I think the Bills were going to get rid of those coaches no matter what anyways. It's just a matter of time. But I am a little upset with their play calling the first 2 weeks. I'm not a Bills fan, but I'm a fan of the game. And just watching their play calls, I thought it was wrong with their personnel.
See, to me, play calling, that's you can only do so much with what you've got, player-wise.
They got a stud running back that they fed the ball to every play in Ravens. I mean, you got to spread the ball a little bit more. You got Sammy Watkins, not playing 100%, but you got to feed him the ball. If he's playing, you got to feed him. He's still a beast out there.
Right.
You start connecting on some passes, and the run game opens up, the passing, and I just don't think they did a very good job at that. It was very predictable.
In that sense, I agree. I feel like they could throw the ball a little more. They are overfeeding LaShawn right now. LaShawn's there's only so much he can do when he gets touched in the backfield every time.
Yeah, but week 2 against the Jets, LaShawn only had 15 carries for 59 yards, and no other running back touched the ball. How do you think Carlos Williams being gone really affects their offense?
It doesn't. He got cut for a reason.
Yeah, but they don't have a second running back now.
Yeah, they don't have a first running back either.
That's shots at you guys. Shots.
No, but to me, here's the thing. When Greg Roman came to the Bills, he inherited the 26th 26th best offense in the league, and he elevated it to the 13th. To me, the real problem is, let's see, who do we hold responsible in a 37-31 game? Maybe the defense for letting up 37 points, the making Fitzpatrick look like a Pro Bowler.
That's what comes down to the problem with all the coaches, though. I think they all got to go, and they will. They will soon.
So when does Rex receive the axe?
My prediction is about week 6, week 7, when they're about like 2-4, 2-5, you know. But it doesn't matter if he makes it the whole season or not. He's fired at the end of the year either way.
I feel like we say the same thing about the Bills every year. There's the preseason hype. You know, oh, we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to make a run at the Super Bowl. And then by week 4, week 5, usually reality will kick in.
But hey, look on the bright side, Bills fans. You usually start out really well and end really poorly and miss the playoffs. Maybe you start
maybe it's
really
the
poorly
reverse. Yeah,
and you end really well and you make the playoffs.
They had
I'm
to
not
change
saying
it
they
up.
will.
That's-
You never know.
Speaking of the Bills games, you were there, Spence, on Thursday.
Yeah, I was there. You know, I was tailgating from 11 a.m. to like 8 o'clock p.m. It was a great time.
What was the atmosphere like?
It was exciting. You know, no one tailgates like the Buffalo Bills fans, but the Bills fans just seemed like they were all dejected already. You know, it's week 2.
Week 2.
Week 2, and I had Bills fans going by me and saying, I got money on the Jets, saying their offense is super poor, and, like, it's week 2, guys. You guys had time to figure it out, you know, if you had faith in your team.
Cloud of illusion is still over us.
Usually you had a Bills game the first 5 weeks, and they're yelling Super Bowl in the crowd. This year, it seemed like yelling first pick, please tank.
I think the Browns have gotten them on that one. Spence, you said there was Vice TV gave you an interview?
Viceland TV was there. Yep, Hammerlot down by Big Tree Inn and Danny's. They're a Canadian channel that airs in the U.S. and they were just walking around the lot, you know, asking people questions and just observing what Bills fans in their natural habitat would like.
Did it have a nature documentary feel to it?
Kind of. Bills fans are like bears and
I think
and
the
salmon.
Bills fans are running
It's
wild.
like little salmon in the river, and they're just getting plucked by the bears. You know, you might not grasp what I'm saying, but I know what I'm saying.
I don't think anyone knows what we're saying.
No one ever
Spence.
knows what I'm saying.
That's okay, Spence.
Yeah, it was crazy though. I signed a couple waivers to be on there, and it should be
When does
aired.
it air?
Should be aired on December 22nd, wherever Viceland is aired.
Presumably Canada.
But definitely try to tune in and Google that because Bills fans tailgate like nobody's business. Crazy things happen.
Overall, what were your impressions toward the end of the game? Because the Bills fans, a lot of them left early. Was the atmosphere pretty low at that point, or did you sense the comeback?
And the atmosphere was pretty low compared to the years throughout the game until halftime when they honored Bruce Smith and everyone came alive.
Right.
But right when Matt Forte punched in his third touchdown in the fourth quarter, you know, it was over. It was over. There's not enough time to come back, and the whole crowd just started leaving. It was very exciting being a Jets fan, honestly. But
On to a little injury report. Peterson and Jimmy G expected to miss at least a game. Peterson probably a little longer. Jimmy G might come back again in 2 weeks. Who will be more missed by their team, Peterson or Jimmy G?
okay, this is also where we have a little bit of a debate going on. I'm going to go with Adrian Peterson. I think he's like the heart and soul of the Vikings franchise right now. They don't really have much going on. You know, brand new quarterback Bradford, Stephon Diggs is like their only weapon without Peterson being there. I think that really affects their season. But and Jimmy G, on the other hand, you know, day to day, he only needs the last 2 more weeks anyway until Brady's back. I have faith in Jacoby Brissett and Bill Belichick to figure it out. Gronkowski probably coming back. They have Texans and Bills to get through until Brady's back. I don't think it's going to hurt them very much.
In that sense, you and I both agree, but at the same time, I don't think the Vikings will miss Peterson that much. He ran 12 times for 19 yards. You're really going to miss those 19 yards?
That's 2 weeks. Like, this is Adrian Peterson, probably top 2 running back of all time by the time he retires. He might even come back from this torn meniscus this year because he's that determined and that good at rehabbing, but he could pop off any week. And without him, they have, Matt Asiata? Whatever they have, it's not Adrian Peterson on his worst day. So they're probably not going to make playoffs this year either way, you know, without Bridgewater and without Peterson. And I just think without Peterson, the Vikings are just nothing. They're irrelevant.
I don't know. I think with or without Peterson, they're reliant on their defense. And Stephon Diggs is a matchup nightmare as of right now. I think they could do enough to get a wild card into the playoffs without Peterson. I really do. The only thing with Jimmy G being out is Jacoby Brissett. Big question marks. He's not the same as Jimmy G.
Right, and Julian Edelman's your backup quarterback right now in New England.
Mm-hmm. But I agree with you in terms of long term. I don't think Jimmy G being out is a big deal because worst case is you're 2-2 and then Brady comes back.
Right, and I think they'll still beat the Texans with Jacoby Brissett. They'll have although we've been ragging on the Bills, they'll have a hard matchup against the Bills with Jacoby Brissett out there. You know, being a rookie and third-round pick, the Bills still have a solid defense.
Mm-hmm.
They still have good corners on the side. And is that game at home?
It's in Foxborough.
It's in Foxborough. That definitely helps out a lot. But even that, they'll probably 3-1 at worst. You know.
How about Jimmy G though? He was what was he? He was a third-round pick 2 years ago. He comes in lights the Dolphins up.
I think he was a second-round pick.
Second or third-round pick, lights up the Dolphins. Just like that. Is it? So then we come back to
very sharp week 1 too.
We come back to the debate. Is it Belichick or Brady? What are your thoughts?
This is a tough one. Belichick or Brady? Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. Brilliant, but and I think Brady has a big part of it himself too. I think they just work very well together. Belichick can take any solid quarterback and do something with them, like Matt Castle and Jimmy G and all that. But I think Tom Brady is what puts him over the edge. I think you can get to the playoffs with Belichick and any good quarterback.
With any quarterback, you're making the playoffs.
But you
Belichick.
Talking Super Bowl when you mix him with Tom Brady, absolutely.
So if Jimmy G's healthy, and let's pretend we're 2 years down the line, still Belichick with Jimmy G, you're making the playoffs with Bill Belichick. How far can Jimmy G take you?
Still early in his career to tell, how well he's going to do. But he's looking very sharp and poised, and he looks like a veteran out there.
He does.
I think with injuries barring, 2 years down the road, he could bring him to a Super Bowl. I do think that. But don't worry about that. Tom Brady ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
So then, if you're the Patriots, do you trade Jimmy G? Do you keep him?
I think you keep on to him as long as you can until he leaves on his own.
Well, his contract's up next year.
Is it up next year?
Yeah, so they're going to have to make a decision. We've seen Belichick. Belichick is known for he'd rather release you too early than too late. I think he lets Brady go and he keeps Jimmy G, invests in the future.
There ain't no way Brady's leaving.
At 40 plus years old?
No.
He's going to be good. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be good.
Not happening.
No, he will still play. Some NFL team, hell, maybe the Bills will sign him.
The difference, he's not a Peyton Manning. Tom Brady's still elite right now. He's still going to be elite for the next 3 years at least. I think he has another 5-6 years in him. I don't think the Patriots are going to sleep at night if they let Tom Brady play for someone else.
Well, we shall find out. Thank you for listening to our first episode of
Running Wild.
Please tune in again on Thursday.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Run Wild Podcast. Before you go, click subscribe.
Again, this has been
Running Wild.